The day I realized my neighbor had built his fence on my land, I stood in the backyard for a long time without moving. At first, I thought it was just a mistake. A few wooden panels had gone up overnight. Clean cedar, fresh concrete posts, the kind of upgrade people get when they want their house to look finished. But something about it felt wrong the moment I saw it. The line didn't sit where it used to. The space behind my house suddenly looked smaller. I told myself not to overthink it until I walked closer. That's when I saw it clearly. The fence wasn't just near my property line. It was inside it, and not by a few inches, by several feet. Now, where I come from, neighborhoods like ours don't usually start wars over fences. People talk things out. Mistakes happen. Surveyors misread things. Contractors rush jobs. So I decided to handle it the normal way. I went next door. The owner, Tyler, answered the door like I was interrupting something important. He looked confident, relaxed, the kind of person who assumes everything he does is already correct. I kept my voice calm. "I think your new fence might be on my property." He didn't even blink. "Our contractor followed the survey markers," he said casually. I nodded. "Can I see the survey?" He shrugged. "Not on me, but everything's been checked." That was it. No concern? No curiosity, just dismissal. When I asked if we could double-check before they finished the last section, he gave a small smile like I was wasting his time. "The job's already paid for," he said. "And honestly, it looks fine where it is." Then he closed the door, not aggressively, just like the conversation didn't matter. That moment changed everything. Because it stopped being a misunderstanding. It became a decision they were sticking to. The next day, I called a licensed surveyor. A few days later, a truck pulled up, and an older man stepped out with equipment that looked like it had measured half the county over the years. He didn't talk much, just got to work. Tripod, markers, measurements, maps. I stood back and watched as he walked the boundary of my land slowly, checking old points buried in the ground, comparing records, adjusting calculations. On the other side of the fence, Tyler and his wife watched too, arms crossed, silent, waiting for him to confirm what they already believed. But the longer he worked, the quieter they got. Hours later, the surveyor walked over to me and said the words I already felt coming. "You're right, fence is off." He pointed directly at the line, about 8 feet. Then he started placing bright orange flags across the yard, each one marking the true boundary. Straight line. No debate, no gray area, just facts. And suddenly, a full strip of their new backyard wasn't theirs at all. It was mine. I sent them everything. Survey documents, photos, a simple message. "Fence is on my property. Please review and relocate." No anger, no threats, just facts. They didn't reply. Days passed. Nothing. Then weeks. Still nothing. Until I went back over. This time, Tyler opened the door slowly. "I saw your email," he said. I waited. He leaned against the frame. "Moving the fence would be expensive," he added. I nodded. "So is losing someone else's land." He sighed like I was being difficult. "It's just a few feet," he said. "You've still got plenty of yard." That sentence hit differently. Not because it was loud, but because it was casual. Like what belonged to me was negotiable. Like boundaries were optional if they were inconvenient. I didn't argue. I just left, but I wasn't done. That night I pulled up every legal document I had. Property maps, county records, lot descriptions. Everything confirmed the same thing. That strip of land behind their fence was mine. Legally, fully, undeniably, which meant something important. I didn't need their permission to use it. So I made a call. A landscaping contractor came by a few days later. I showed him the flags, the fence, the space in between. He studied it for a long time. Then he smiled. "That's tight," he said, "but workable. What can we do with it?" I asked. He looked at the fence, then back at me. "You want it functional or effective?" I looked at the line of their brand new backyard, their expensive patio, their perfect layout built on land that wasn't theirs. "Effective," I said. "We designed it that day. Long planter boxes, heavy wood, reinforced frames, full length of the disputed strip." When I asked what we should plant, I already knew the answer. "Bamboo? Fast-growing, thick, impossible to ignore once it takes hold." The contractor laughed. "That's going to change their whole yard." "I know," I said. "Fully legal?" "Completely," he confirmed. The work started the following week. Tyler noticed immediately. The day the crew arrived, he came outside within minutes, confused, watching, as posts were set directly inside what he believed was his backyard. "What is this?" he asked. I didn't raise my voice. "Installing structures on my property." He frowned. "That's my yard." I pointed at the orange flags. "That says otherwise." For the first time, he didn't have an instant reply. The crew kept working anyway. Post after post. Concrete poured. Frames built. Planter boxes assembled like a continuous wall. By the second day, the strip of land he had taken was no longer open space. It was structured, defined, permanent. And then we planted. Row after row of bamboo went into the soil. Tyler watched from his deck as the first green shoots were placed into the ground. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "Maybe, but it was also legal and intentional." Within weeks, the change began. The bamboo started growing. Not slowly, not politely, fast, thick enough to cast shadows, tall enough to block sight lines, dense enough that the space he once treated like an extension of his home started feeling like a barrier. His extra backyard wasn't usable anymore. No open view, no clean layout, no expansion of space. Just a living wall growing taller every day. One afternoon, he came over again, but this time, he wasn't confident. "This is ruining my yard," he said. I looked past him at the line of green rising between our properties. "No," I replied calmly. "It's restoring mine." He didn't argue, because there was nothing left to argue about. The fence had been built on the wrong side. The land had been taken without permission. And now, the consequences were growing faster than either of us expected. Weeks later, when you stood at my back porch, everything looked different. My boundary was clear again. Defined not by assumption, not by convenience, but by something impossible to ignore. A living reminder that land doesn't shift just because someone builds on it. And sometimes the quietest response is the one that changes everything.